Hey, Dave.
Hey, Chris.
Back at it for what is this? What episode is this? Do we think of this series? I guess
This is seven or 8. I think it's 7, maybe.
Okay. Wow.
I don't know. I've lost track.
I kind of have too. But welcome back, Rated
Appreciate y'all
Gen-X.
coming. Yeah.
This is an amazing history lesson we've been going through the last few episodes.
I've learned a lot while I was making this timeline, and
I continue to learn. And is it hot in here?
No,
because I think your name is Summer.
Oh,
I read that all wrong though.
So
is your name Summer? Because you're hot.
So for the longest time, in every episode except one, I wore a Coast Guard shirt in one.
Yep.
But every other episode, I've worn a Quicksilver shirt.
You have.
I'm out of Quicksilver shirts. So last episode, I wore one that said something about I'm not responsible for the face I make when you're talking or something.
Yep.
This is one that I would wear. There were days that we would have homecoming dress-up days where the students would dress like something and the teachers would dress like students. So I would always wear this, and I would wear like this surfer dude wig. So kids would walk in and think they had a sub for about a second and a half. They'd be like, whoa, who's this guy?
Nice. I went with the
Keep It Classic.
Keep It Classic, little old school Nintendo controller.
Yeah.
I actually have a little set like this at home. It's got several of the Nintendo games on it.
Nice.
Not as fun these days as it was then, I have to say.
We still have a Wii. My kids play Wii all the time.
You know, we don't have a Wii anymore. We do have a, man, I always forget the name of it because I don't play it that much. Switch. There we go. I don't know why I keep forgetting
It's
that.
a Nintendo.
It's Nintendo. Galaga still holds up.
Yep.
Oh, dude. So I think a couple episodes ago I talked about my mom getting the
foosball
table for Christmas.
Yeah.
So I talked to her the other day, and she gleefully told me that she has ordered a full-size stand-up arcade game that has 81 games that come on it.
Oh, we got to go to your mom's.
Pac-Man, Galaga, Dig Dug, all of the classic
Galaga.
1980s.
When you would get the two side by side in Galaga,
I played that bad boy on the Switch.
You were invincible.
I proudly say that I have my initials in all 5 of the rankings currently on my Switch.
Isn't it your game?
It is. I am literally the only person that plays it. But that's a game that holds up really well.
Yeah.
Much like a lot of the things we've been talking about in our history timeline. So I don't know. Let's just get to it. What do you think?
Let's jump into 88, but let's hit our intro first.
Let's do that.
And then we'll jump into it.
Welcome
back, everybody.
Hey, Dave.
Hey, Chris. Sorry, we were chatting and while the intro was playing.
It can't be any weirder than the one we ended on.
That's true. If you didn't see the end of the last episode, especially when we were talking about this, I want to apologize. I couldn't keep it together. That was funny. I was laughing during editing, but
man. So we've agreed. We don't know what episode this is we're recording.
No, we don't.
By the time we post it, we'll know. But we are starting with 1988.
I do know that. Yeah,
continuing our timeline.
Yep.
Again, super fun. I mean, I hope everybody is enjoying it as much as I am. I feel like we could do this 10 times and come up with 10 different lists for all these years.
Absolutely.
And still probably just turn this into a completely different podcast. But
right.
I clearly am coming to an understanding of what has gone into the core of building
who we
this
are
whole
as Gen Xers.
generation. Yeah. So this is awesome, dude. I'm looking forward to however far we get this time.
That's right.
Last time it was 2 years. I think
The last
couple of
it's been
episodes or so has just been 2 years. So
But we're
buckle
we're
up.
buckle up. We're going slow.
We ain't going fast.
Safety first.
Oh man.
All right, here we go. Speaking of safety first, January 11th of 88, the first U.S. test tube quintuplets were born in Royal Oak, Michigan.
And in January 12th, the 7-seat passenger van was created for that family. Good gosh.
Yeah.
Man.
I remember everybody, that became an insult after that for a while. You test tube baby. Must be a test tube baby.
But then the quintuplets. I mean,
I'm wondering if that was on purpose or if it's like, we don't know if any of this is going to work. Let's do a few.
They all work. I mean,
who knows? They could have put 10 in there.
Didn't have twins. Didn't ever do anything like that. Mine all came one at a time. I mean, there people with multiple children at once got to be special. I mean, that's got to be just insanely difficult. I don't know if I'd be built for that.
The only benefit to that would be is if you had twins in the beginning, I'd be like, all right, I'm good. because you think, oh, well, I could do a third. What happens if that's twins too? Because I know somebody. The principal that I worked for several years, the assistant principal that was directly over me, has 2 sets of twins and then 2 other kids. All the same mom and dad.
So 6.
He's got 6 kids.
Oof.
I think it was 2-1, 2-1. That just seems like if you did the 2 and then the 1, I think I'd be going, okay, let's not push our luck.
I need to go see somebody about something.
Well, I believe he has now. But, but that's test tube babies, that's all right. January 26th, the Phantom of the Opera opens in New York City for over 4,000 performances during its run.
I've seen it multiple times.
I've seen it once.
It is fantastic. As is the movie.
Yes.
The most recent movie. Yeah, all of them. I've seen it multiple times in different theaters and thoroughly enjoy it each and every time.
Yeah.
It's a different show depending on where you're sitting at.
It is, yeah. Well, I've seen it once, so I would assume
you've heard.
I've seen a show in different places.
I think I've seen it a total of 4 times.
Wow!
And we've always chosen different areas. I think we've done kind of mezzanine a couple times because we feel like that's just kind of the best view for seeing like everything.
Yeah.
But we've been as far as down in the orchestra level all the way up, high, and it's a different show every time. You see different things. Pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like watching a movie a few times. You're like, oh, I didn't see that the first time.
Good point.
All right, February the 4th, the Panamanian General Manuel Noriega was indicted by the U.S. federal grand jury for drug trafficking and racketeering. I remember seeing pictures of that guy in his, military uniform all decked out. He just looked sweaty.
Isn't he the dude who held up in like a monastery or something?
I think so, yeah.
We blasted rock music to
Yeah.
Kind of just freak out all the nuns and
Yeah.
stuff, and eventually they get out.
Right.
You must go.
Right. Yep. All right. April 23rd.
What?
And I remember before they put this in, April 23rd of 88, the ban on smoking on U.S. domestic flights lasting 2 hours or less is implemented.
But on the long ones.
On the long ones,
you can
right.
still.
We're not there yet. But at some point, they cut it out altogether. Obviously, they cut it out altogether. But if you're on a flight 2 hours or less, but how many less than 2 hour flights? There's not. I mean,
not now, but maybe then.
Maybe.
I don't know.
But, the smoking section was in the back.
It's like a smoking section in the restaurant, right?
Right.
It's going to go everywhere.
Right.
All right, here's a question, and this came up recently. was smoking still permitted for of age people in high school when we started? I feel like my freshman year, it was still, the smoking porch was still there.
Oh, the smoking porch was always still there, but I don't think it was permitted. I think they cut that out. I think before we got there.
Was it? Okay.
But everybody gathered on the smoking porch because
I feel like I still, and maybe that's just what it was still called, and I assumed.
Absolutely, it was still called. I can go show it to you.
It's still called the smoking porch.
I think enough people have left that knew it as the smoking porch. Now, when I first started teaching there, I taught for 16 years at the high school where we attended. I've just recently taken a position at another school. But there were enough people when I got there the first several years that I was there that still remembered it as the smoking porch.
That's awesome. I could be wrong on that. I just felt like that. My memory, I feel like that smoking was banned like my sophomore year. Like you couldn't smoke at school anymore, but I could be wrong. But I mean, we were just now getting around to flights.
Right.
Because I do remember going into hospitals and then like smoky too, like in the waiting rooms and stuff.
Yeah.
You could smoke. It just blows my mind now. But
I just remember the first time I flew, I was 13 and I had to go pee. So, I'm a 13-year-old kid. I had to walk to the back of the plane.
Through the smoke.
Through the cloud. Because we flew to New York. Through the cloud, and I was like, like, that's a good idea. Let's smoke in a tin can that's in the air.
Probably calmer. You should
Maybe
just cracked a window or something.
Right. That's safe.
I mean, it would clear the room quick.
All of it.
Just a tiny little hole.
All of it. All right. May 15th, the USSR begins withdrawing its 115,000 troops from Afghanistan after an 8-year occupation.
Ooh.
Now, think about 8 years being there. I think enough seeds were planted to get us in the situations that arose later.
Yeah.
So, we're banned in Russia anyway, so whatever. Commies. June 27th, Mike Tyson knocks out Michael Spinks in 91 seconds.
Dude was just bad.
I remember, I didn't watch the fight. I saw the replays.
Highlights, yeah.
Later, but
because they were expensive to watch.
Oh yeah,
I feel like you could do pay-per-view by then, but
yeah.
It was like crazy expensive
for the time. Yeah, it was like $40 or something, which
people would like go in together and
they would have a big watch party and everybody put in everybody bring $5 but and then I remember people being super mad because they're like, I paid all this money for this fight and it was over in a minute and a half.
I mean, to this day, I would not ever want to get hit by that dude.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, just
no
fierce competitor. I watched his documentary he's got out recently.
Oh, yeah?
He kind of tries to tell his story, and I know he's had ups and downs, controversies and stuff like that too. But he tries to put his spin on things. But all that stuff aside, I mean, I won't even get into that. But just from
I'm not messing with him.
Fierce competitor level, like that dude is just oof.
He's always in the zone.
I would hate to get hit that hard, regardless. But man,
right. All right. Day later, June 28th, Public Enemy releases "It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back," and that was seen as one of the first political hip hop albums. So it was a rap album that had a very political spin on it. I believe. No, I was going to say, I believe that's the one that I had the typo on, Party for Your Right to Fight from last episode. But I don't think that was on. I don't know. I have the album that has It Takes a Nation of Millions, or I have the album that has Party for Your Right to Fight. I don't know that it's this one. It could be. I don't know. But it was the first, political hip-hop album where they really, and I remember some of the songs, like they really were calling out not necessarily individual lawmakers, but
All right. They had a lot to say.
policies and stuff like that. So, and Flava Flav was part of Public Enemy. So
He's a cool dude.
he's
unique.
He is unique is a good way to put it. All right, here you go. July 15th. The movie Die Hard with Bruce Willis opens.
So we're officially clarifying this. It is not a Christmas movie. It didn't come out at Christmas.
But it's about Christmas.
But then it should have come out later that year.
See, I'm going to say it is a Christmas movie.
Okay. We agree to disagree.
Sounds like
I mean, it's still a good movie.
Something we could ask later.
Ah.
And maybe put it to rest altogether.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Challenge accepted.
All right. But, so, opened in the summer. About Christmas, though. August 11th. Al-Qaeda is formed during a meeting with Osama bin Laden and others. So, Al-Qaeda is not something necessarily new. Formed in 88.
I would
have put that much later.
I would have too. Yeah. I mean, but I know there's a lot of, we mingle, kind of stirring the pot and all that kind of stuff. So it makes sense. I guess, too.
Well, and the whole thing, you look at earlier that year, May USSR withdraws, and then all of a sudden Al-Qaeda is formed.
Yep.
I'm sure there was no coaching as to what to do.
Not at all.
That would be absurd. Yeah. September 13th. I have this album. I still listen to songs on this album. It's on my mowing playlist.
Really?
Yep.
All right. I can see that.
Ice-T releases the album Power. Had songs Power, Drama, I'm Your Pusher, which I'm Your Pusher was played on the regular radio. Like it was played on...
Is that your specific
Y107.
mowing song?
No.
Even though you're a writer?
My mowing song is Power.
All right.
Radio Suckers and Personal.
I really like him just as an artist overall.
Yeah.
I mean...
he does heavy metal now.
I have not heard... That sounds familiar, but I haven't listened to it.
His group is called Body Count.
Body Count. Let me have to look that up.
And they won... It's been a few years ago. They won best metal album or best metal library. They won some Grammy or some kind of award for best metal album, which is really, I've always liked Ice-T. He wrote a book called The Ice Effect.
Yeah.
Which I have and I read. I've always liked him. And I know we've talked about him before. But, to go from rap to metal and be successful.
Country's next.
I don't know that he will go country. He doesn't seem like... I don't know. Ice, if you're watching...
Would you call baby Jessica and then we can do a Zoom?
We can do a Zoom with both of y'all. I would love to interview Ice-T. I don't have anywhere near the money that I'm sure it takes to interview him.
I mean, every year you got to do something.
He's got to do philanthropy.
Yeah, I feel like.
I think we would be a perfect.
Well, this is a good. This series
tax write-off.
Turn this into shout outs, right?
Right. Yeah.
We got. I mean, I'm sure we can find another chair. We got an extra pillow to sit on because I know both of us are sitting on pillows. Right. I changed the pillow. Found a different one. This one's actually a little bit more comfortable.
Oh yeah, you like that one better?
I do. I sit different. And,
well, this chair sits so low because it's, like I said, it's my grandmother's chair from the library.
But I think Ice-T could really help us out with viewership.
Oh yeah.
It would benefit him, I think, greatly.
because he needs help.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't. Ice-T is.
Have your
is
people
great.
contact our people, and we'll let you
And
know.
by
if-
our
if-
people,
if
we
we're-
mean, again-
if we're available. I mean, I'll play hard to get. I'll be like, let me get back with him.
All right, see, not me. If Ice-T's people called me and said, "Hey, Ice wants to come on your show," I'd be like, "When?" I've got 218 sick days. I can take one. Like, because as a teacher, we can accumulate ours.
Yeah.
So, and if you have enough sick days, if you have more than 200 sick days at the end of when you retire, you can actually retire with an additional year of experience. So if you retire with 30 years and you have over 200 sick days, you can retire with 31 years experience and your retirement pay goes up. And you can cash them in.
I mean, you guys have great benefits.
Yep.
Not going to argue that.
Pay is terrible, but
Sorry, I was doing a
benefits.
little bit of phone check there. Had a little thing going on at home. I was trying to keep up with, and
it's all good, man. We understand.
it's all good.
People have lives,
We do,
especially
we do.
grandparents.
Especially these podcasters, man. It's a tough life.
Yep.
I thought about, should I add that to my LinkedIn profile, podcaster?
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. September 29th, the Space Shuttle Discovery launches, the first shuttle launch since the Challenger disaster, which was in January of 86. What was
I was
that,
gonna
28th?
It was the 28th of
January
January
28th.
of 86. So we had, what, almost
About 2.5 years.
Okay.
Yep. Space Shuttle Discovery.
So they went through, they rechecked all the others. They had to do those repairs to
Yep.
the O-rings, changing that up.
And they were a lot more strict on temperature at launch.
Launch schedules and weather. Yeah. No, that's
I don't know why you try to launch in the winter anyway. Like, just,
right.
it's Florida. It's warm most of the
I
time.
mean, it's
Except for there may be a couple of months like
January.
right.
So-
you live there for a while.
Yeah, January. It's like
Launch any other
all
time.
these brilliant scientists there. That's like, should there be like a 6-week period? Maybe we shouldn't do anything. Yeah, January. That would be it. I mean,
That's fair. That's fair. All right, October 18th. I put this in here because I like their sound. The Traveling Wilburys released their first album. It was made up of Bob Dylan, George Harrison, Jeff Lynne, Roy Orbison, Tom Petty.
this is like a it's not rock, but this group and the Highwaymen,
Yeah.
side by side.
Oh,
I mean, as
yeah.
far as like talent, and you read off. I mean, every name literally. You're like, oh my gosh, talent.
Right. Had
Yeah.
songs Handle with Care and End of the Line. And I remember watching a documentary on the Traveling Wilburys, and then when they were filming the video for End of the Line, Roy Orbison had died before the video. I don't know if it was before the video was filmed or before it was completed. But anyway, he had passed away before they finished the video for sure. And so they had like an 8x10, a picture of him on one of the end tables or something in the room where they were shooting. And so when it came to his line or one of his lines, they panned by that.
Show the picture.
So, I thought that was cool that they, paid homage to him.
It's a little before they got into more of the kind of the computer
Oh, yeah.
graphics.
Now
where
they could just make it look like he's
there's AI
singing,
in
right.
there. Yeah, I'm slightly intrigued by that. Where they've gone through and they can bring back like a passed on artist and re-release an album or something like that.
Right.
It'd be interesting to see that in maybe like a holographic form, but
Like a holographic concert setting.
Yeah.
Like bring Michael Jackson back and just hologram him up there doing his thing.
I cannot say that would not be interesting, but then my line is, because I've also heard you can bring back loved ones. It's like, I don't know. Some people maybe, but I'm like,
I just think it's scary that you can take, a few clips of somebody
oh, I do
And-
pretty much anything.
and make it sound like somebody says something
Yeah.
that they don't.
Yeah. Scary times.
Scary enough. All right, November the 8th of 88, George H.W. Bush defeats Michael Dukakis for president. I remember Michael Dukakis.
I do too.
He had them
A picture of him in
bushy
that tank.
eyebrows. Oh, yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I don't really know the
Wasn't he
rest of
like
that
governor
story.
of Massachusetts or something like that?
Yeah,
Or senator from... He was
mm,
something from Massachusetts. And I was like, yeah. December 6th, singer Roy Orbison, that we had mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
dies at his home in Hendersonville, Tennessee, which is not too far from here as the crow flies. It's across the lake.
Yep.
My brother has been to his house. Because when we were going to the private school where we went for a little while, my brother was friends with one of his sons.
Okay.
They were the same age and the same grade. And so he went and spent the night over there a few times. Now, I don't think that Roy was ever home. He was probably out touring or something like that. But my brother has been in the house
Very cool.
of Roy Orbison. And his granddaughter teaches at our high school.
Really? I did not know that.
I figured that out somehow, and I went...
There's little seeds all around town of
Right.
people like that. Though, right?
And I went up to her, like, she's a teacher. And I went to the copy room, and she was in there, and I said, I didn't realize your lineage at first. I didn't say that exactly. It was something...
You weren't that creepy about it?
No, I was not creepy about it. No.
It's just a random thing to walk up to somebody.
Because everybody, I mean, I had spoken to her plenty of times, but everybody called her Miss O, and I was like, Miss O, I didn't realize who you were until somebody had said something, and I was like, huh. And then I told her that, my brother knew Alex, and she was like, oh, yeah, it's my uncle, So
Cool.
So, yeah, I was like, that was it. It wasn't just...
It's
making conversation.
Still a connection.
Yep. And then to round out 88, December 21st, Pan Am Flight 103 is downed by a terrorist bomb, killing all 270 people on board. I remember that.
Lockerbie, Scotland, is that where that happened?
Yep.
Yeah. I do remember that. I remember all three of those last ones very specifically. George Bush winning the presidency, Roy Orbison passing away, obviously, because that was pretty much local news.
Yeah,
as
local
well.
news, and a lot of people knew him or of him or knew somebody that. Yeah.
Especially during that time. I mean, Nashville is still pretty relaxed place when it comes to people of fame.
Right.
They can still kind of hang out, walk
yeah.
around, but I mean, 70s and 80s. I mean, they just kind of.
They were all around.
They just kind of littered, all around town, right. And just regular neighborhoods.
You saw somebody out, and you're like, "Oh, hey, that's so and so," and you weren't like, "Oh my God," it wasn't like fangirl.
No, they come through the drive-through, get their barbecue.
Lori Morgan. Do you remember what Philip said? My brother, who had been to Roy Orbison's house. But Philip said,
I don't remember it, but I've heard this before.
Lori Morgan came through the drive-through, ordered some barbecue, and Philip was waiting on her. No big deal, just placed her order. He took her money and gave her change or whatever, and then got her order and handed it to her. And as he's handing it to her, apparently she had like a red shirt or a red dress, something like that, and he handed it to her and he said, I see you found that something in red that you were looking for. Because she has a song that's, I'm looking for something in red. And said that she kind of grinned like, oh, you recognize me, and it, she wasn't, put off or impressed. She was just kind of like, I think she was kind of relieved that somebody recognized her and didn't make a big deal about it.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's
because she lived not too far. She lived down on the Bend.
That makes sense. That whole area, I feel like, especially
Porter Wagner lived down there.
Yeah.
And
well, I'm glad that I was not working when that happened because I would have to remind her again. My granddad, until he passed, anytime she would come up, her dad still owes me $20 for taking her to school. He didn't pay his carpool money. And it's like, dude, for years I heard that.
Lawrence.
It's like she, especially when she kind of had her peak, I think in 80s, 90s. You always say, her dad still owes me some money for taking her to school. Never did pay me. It's like,
Lawrence wouldn't
you
let it
think
go.
a family like that's got enough money to pay for that stuff? Man,
I'm sure Nanny was just like, oh.
Yeah, there's a lot of just moving on.
All
right, is it my turn now?
89.
God, we're on another 2-year run. Another 2 year
89
run.
is long too.
I know. I think we're gonna get through 89, and that'll leave us 2 years to finish up this series.
Yep.
So yeah, let's get to it. Let's start with January 6th. The U.S. reports unemployment rate of 5.3%, the lowest in 14 years. So that is wrapping up the Reagan years.
Yes.
And we're not quite at the inauguration, I don't think, yet.
Right,
Of,
that's
George Bush,
usually the 20th.
So yeah, starting off with low unemployment. January 24th, serial killer Ted Bundy is put to death by the electric chair in Florida. I do remember that as well. Creepy. Just creepy, crazy,
But girls thought he was so attractive.
Yeah.
That's how he
just
got him to come with him.
That's insane. But it also, I've watched some of the stuff on that, and if you can't tell, I love watching like documentaries and stuff, man.
I don't have time.
And the thing is, I don't know whether to, believe stuff or not, but it's interesting to me, and so I'll watch just about anything. But I've seen those, and I've seen how he made his way across the country, and for the simple fact that something? I mean, I don't know about that, but it was just interesting how he could commit crimes, but then if he would move to another district, there was no communication with law enforcement, and so there was no national data system to match up things and trends. And it's like, oh, here's an MO that this person or a death has, and I mean, he just got away with that stuff for so long. But you're right, he was. They always said he's good looking guy, and oh, my arms hurt, can you help me? And I'll throw you in the trunk. Just insanity, man. But yeah, January 24th of that year, he was put to death. February 14th, the first satellite of the GPS system is launched into orbit. 89. That feels a little later. I thought that would have been earlier.
Nope.
Maybe not.
I mean, there might have been some other stuff that they used for strategic purposes, but the GPS system as we know it now, first satellite.
Wow.
Launched in 89.
Not that old. Oh, here's my favorite person again here. March 21st. Madonna releases Like a Prayer. Songs Like a Prayer, Express Yourself, and Cherish are all on that album. I thought Cherish was a really good song. I
really enjoyed that song. Yeah. It was just a kind of a upbeat, happy, I like you a lot song.
I like you a lot.
I like you a lot.
March 24th, the Exxon Valdez crash in Prince William Sound, Alaska, dumps 11 million gallons of oil into the ocean. I do remember that.
Yes.
I mean, I remember seeing that and just how people talked that was just going to be a, generational change to the environment. And
they've done an excellent job.
I was going to say, I know that it obviously had some environmental impacts, but if you really think about it, the recovery effort and then just what nature has continued to do.
And washing the ducks with Dawn.
And washing, that's where I learned that from. It's like, you can do that. I didn't know. If it works on them, it must be great for people too.
Right.
I've used that philosophy a number of times. That was a huge event. I do remember that.
Yep.
April the 12th, little add in here.
Yep.
Good. The artist Garth Brooks releases his first album. Songs included The Dance, Much Too Young to Feel This Damn Old, If Tomorrow Never Comes. Again, another artist that music just, it holds up.
Yes. And then his second album, which was released, in
91? 90
or 91, I can't remember when. Okay. But
No Fences.
Crazy. I mean, just so many copies sold.
Yeah.
And then people went back
solid music
and bought this one.
Yeah.
So, again, speaking different genres, we've had some rock, some rap, some country, some.
That's big, and that changed country, especially from a live
performance
standpoint. Yeah,
yes.
I mean,
because how many times did he get Entertainer of the Year? I mean, it was so many. It was kind of like the Garth Brooks Award. I wouldn't be surprised if some point they don't name it that.
I remember when he came through Nashville, Murfreesboro in the, I guess, 92, something like that. He had several nights, I think like 4 nights in a row at the auditorium there, and it was the first time he basically broke Elvis's record of sellout nights. That was from somewhere back in the earlier.
Well,
70s.
He had all that rigging that hooked him up that like would fly him over the audience.
Yeah, he was
just crazy.
I had tickets to that concert. I bought them through the student office.
Yeah. Did you need a suit?
No.
So you couldn't go to the Judd's concert.
I sold those tickets.
Of course you did.
I'm not going to use that. I didn't scalp them. I merely bought them, and then someone wanted to buy them from me. And I said yes.
I feel like there's more to that story.
There might be. I'm like, Anyway,
don't want to go into
May
that one.
3rd, construction of the first McDonald's in the USSR begins.
There you go.
And the Soviet Union crumbled a few years later. What's the connection?
The Golden Arches.
That could be the beginning of the end.
Especially for your cholesterol.
I wonder what their menu looks like. Because I've heard, if you go to a different
it's different in different
right?
places. I don't know because I don't travel much outside the country.
Yeah.
Travel all over this country, but
order the big anvil, maybe. That's what they call the Big Mac.
Yep.
May 17th, Beijing has over 1 million protesters demanding greater democracy. Martial law is declared and troops move on the city. That's it.
And right,
It's and then so do I go to June 5th?
Well, yeah, because this is still so it started in May.
Started in May, and then June 5th, the protesters.
Then a bunch of protesters.
Okay, that was little,
And then
I know you know how to use punctuation. Then all of a sudden you get here and they all ended. There's no period. That's why I kept going.
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna blame it on you.
I didn't put a period on any.
So that
of
was
these.
May 17th. June 5th. During those protests, a protester in Beijing moves in front of a military tank in an iconic photo, which I totally know what that is.
Yep.
Identity of the man is still unknown.
Nobody knows. I mean, I'm sure maybe he does.
That is
nobody knows the identity
super
of that guy that stood, because he stood in front of the tank and then the tank turned and moved and he stepped over in front of it again.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just that photo. There's video too, but there's that photo of him standing dead on in front of that tank.
Yeah. I remember that. I'm trying to remember like the emotion that it has behind it, but I'm also just amazed that no one knows who that is.
Right.
That's really, but maybe, that could be one of two things. It's China. He could no longer be around and wasn't around to identify himself.
Right.
Or it's China and he feels like it's probably better not to identify himself and be known.
Or they don't want people to know who he is because, they would kind of have the hero complex and they don't want any of that over there.
That is interesting.
We might be banned in China at some point.
Well, I'm going to take a little breather here for just a moment. And
all right. Do I need to pause?
No, I think I'm good at the moment. Just want to make sure we are all good. All right, so I'm going to move on to June the 27th. Don Henley releases End of the Innocents. Another good,
former Eagle. I guess back with the Eagles now. They're back together.
The end of songs included the end of the Innocents, Last Worthless Evening, New York Minute, and The Heart of the Matter.
The Heart of the Matter.
Good songs, man.
I played that many times
Eagles
after
and
a
each
breakup.
member, each member of the Eagles, I think, as a single has done some awesome work too.
Most of them.
Who hasn't?
There was one. Was it Timothy
Schmidt?
Schmidt. Did he do solo stuff? He may have. I just don't remember. Like, oh, that's Timothy Schmidt.
You know what he is well known for, though? Do you? Do you know his tie to Jimmy Buffett?
I don't.
So Timothy Schmidt is an honorary
Coral Reefer.
Coral Reefer.
Okay.
Played with him for a couple of years. He's also the one that coined the phrase "parrot head."
Really?
Yes.
All right.
That is who is given credit for naming Jimmy Buffett fans.
There we go.
Which surprisingly has not made this list yet, David.
Look.
Although we have, to be fair, we have not gotten to. I didn't get into Buffett until probably.
I didn't get into
maybe
Buffett.
this year, 89, 90.
I got into Buffett right about my freshman year of college.
Okay.
Because I think that's when we went to our first concert at Starwood.
91. Is that the Finns?
Yep.
Concert. So that, okay. All right. So we're a couple years away. All right.
Yep.
Given. I get it.
All right.
All right. So Don Henley, June 27th. July 25th, the Beastie Boys release Paul's Boutique. I don't know why I thought that was funny, but it is. Shadrach. Shadrach. Meshach, Abednego. I like that you put it this. Not near the commercial success of the first album. I don't.
I mean,
because I don't really.
It was almost considered a flop because their first album
I'd
was
have to go back and listen to some of that.
I bought it because I was like, yes, a new Beastie Boys album, and I was like, what is this?
This is trash.
I was like, this is not anything like their '86 album, because their '86 album you could just had the cassette, so you could just
play.
Yeah, and you didn't have to worry about let's skip that song. Like you just hit play, and there wasn't any of the hits on Paul's Boutique.
Probably started with that name.
Right.
That's just, yeah. Let's move on to happier news.
Oh, yeah.
July 31st.
Your shirt.
What's that?
Your shirt.
I know. July 31st, Nintendo Game Boy is first available for sale in the United States.
I would have put that later.
I would have too. I would have too. Like, I would have put that a couple years away.
I would have put it sometime in the 90s.
Yeah.
But Game Boy being available in 89.
Well, that's for...
Who had a Game Boy in 89? Anybody have a Game Boy in 89?
Not anybody on my street.
No. Nobody on our street even had a Nintendo. We had a couple Ataris, and I had a Commodore 64.
Well, now my brother eventually, he got a Nintendo maybe the second year. No, maybe they'd been out because he's younger, and I think he just, but it wasn't too, they weren't out too long before he got one.
All right.
But it was like a possession, man. It was like his.
Right.
It was like his whole Christmas was wrapped up in that one gift. But
he would fight you for it. He would still fight you for it right now.
August 9th, savings and loan bailout, approximately $400 billion over 30 years to bail them out.
See, and I remember that SNL.
Yeah. So
I remember Robin Williams making a joke about that.
So that went on for 30 years?
Yeah, it was a $400 billion payout over 30 years.
That is insane.
Well, because, they're not just going to print that much money right off the bat. Talk about inflation. Sorry, econ lesson.
Wow.
But
the next day, August 10th, General Colin Powell appointed chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He is the first African-American to hold that position.
I always liked Colin Powell.
I totally did, too. I thought he was a stand-up dude.
Always seemed like, if he said something, I was like, I believe that. He could have been, but it never seemed like he was hiding anything.
I wonder, I feel like, did he have service in Vietnam? I feel like he was of that era, right?
Surely.
Because I know we get into another...
You don't get to be a general in 89 without having served for...
30 years.
Quite a while, yeah.
Okay. It'd be close.
Not on the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
I know as we get into the Gulf War, Schwarzkopf, he was a Vietnam combat veteran.
Yeah.
So it would make sense. But I always felt like Colin Powell was too. But if we're within 7 or 8 years of my service time, and I had the opportunity to still see some of that era of veterans still active.
Yeah.
And just God, man, you talking about a different caliber of people. Just
you got to think about what they saw.
Well, and they, obviously
experienced.
by the 90s, they were all, either super senior enlisted people, or they were, high-ranking officers. And just each and every one of them I ever met was just
I remember you telling
amazing.
me about one or some of the like tunnel rats that you met.
Yeah, just
the crazy stories that, just, ooh.
Just, yeah. Nerves.
Yeah.
I'll go with that word.
They didn't have any. Like, they just, nothing phases them.
September 22nd.
Oh.
Glorious day in American history right here. Baywatch premieres on TV in the U.S. And suddenly, there were no boys on the street playing. They were all inside watching TV.
Right. And every single one of those girls wore a one piece.
Yes. And it still didn't matter.
Still didn't matter.
Yeah. You know what else was really cool about that, though?
Besides Pamela Anderson?
Besides that, is it brought back David Hasselhoff.
From Knight Rider.
Yes. It's like, dude, which,
and again, I didn't,
timeline.
Yeah. I didn't put Knight Rider on
Knight Rider, just
I didn't put Miami Vice,
awesome TV show. But it was so cool to see that dude come back. And, I don't know. I thought it was,
I always liked him.
The Hoff. The Hoff. Don't hassle the Hoff like that. But yeah, 1989. Good year. October 17th, the Loma Prieta.
That's right.
Earthquake kills 63 people in San Francisco and interrupts the World Series game live on TV. Totally remember that.
I was watching the World Series.
Same.
Because that was, as I mentioned before, we could eat in the den where the TV was during the Olympics and the World Series. So we're eating on, the little TV trays, that would fold up, that you would set in front of the couch and eat. So we're eating dinner, watching the World Series, and all of a sudden the TV glitches and just the picture goes out, and I'm like, what is going on? And I'm, it's 89, so I'm a senior. I'm a senior in high school in October, and I'm like, somebody's gonna be mad about this. Somebody's gonna be in trouble, cutting off the live feed to the World Series. And it's like, there's been an earthquake, and I was like, oh, my bad.
We'll let that pass.
Yeah, I'll let you slide on this one. And I remember seeing like the Bay Bridge.
Yeah, where it collapsed.
Yeah, because it was
the North Bay. I should know this. I crossed it many times. Yeah, they pancaked.
Yeah, because it was, one lane was on top and the other lane going the other way was on the bottom. And the top fell on the bottom. I'm sure I'll find a picture of it. So
it's, that was crazy. I do remember watching that. I'm not a huge baseball fan now, but this is probably peak.
Well, because, we had the baseball cards. Yeah, right.
Yeah, so, I'm in the peak of, collecting baseball cards, things like that. So this was actually one of the World Series I watched. The only other World Series I watched is the one you and I watched on the back porch in Florida.
Oh, yeah?
Many years later. I don't know if you remember that or not. You were down visiting, and we were just hanging out on the back porch watching. Maybe in the Cubs. When did they go? No? They had a run at one point, right?
2016.
Okay.
Is that right? No, because I watched the Cubs play the World Series here.
Okay.
Because
I don't know then. We watched something. It was the World Series. I remember that.
Right.
Maybe it was the playoffs.
Might have been playoff.
Anyway, interesting fact, years later, when I lived in that area for a little while, there was still damage from that earthquake in Oakland. Like sidewalks still jacked up and stuff where
really
just never got repaired. And the I forget the bridge, but the bridge that did that's the two where on top is one lane, bottom's another. That was my commute was going across that every
Really?
every
You went
time.
across that bridge?
And that
No, sir.
that crossed my mind literally every time I did that, and it was.
Is today the day it's going to
I
shake?
cannot say it did not cross my mind a lot of like, but where we happen to live, the couple of, I think I only recall one little shake while we only lived there for like a year. I remember one little shake, but I remember someone telling me where we were just happened to be on like a pretty solid rock. So we were always told. It was also a military base, so of course they're going to pick, the most stable area.
Right.
But yeah, it was one little shake when we were there, middle of the night. Kind of felt that, but yeah, probably it's not anything I'd want to experience. But there was an earthquake in West Tennessee last week. Did you see that?
Yes, I did. I did.
Yeah, small
I
one.
didn't see much about it, but I saw that there was one.
Yeah, interesting. See earthquake trivia for today. November 9th. The Berlin Wall falls, and East and West Germany are open for travel between the two for the first time in decades. So
I remember seeing pictures of that.
Yeah,
like,
all the seeing the
big,
news and
the big blocks of
sledgehammers.
wall, and people like reaching a hand through and stuff like that. Because people were separated from family members for decades.
Yes, and I mean, the amount of people that had tried and failed to cross, all those years too. But yeah, just all the families that were reunited and everything. Man, I feel like it was on all the news, but you just saw people climbing it and
standing on top of it
pieces and just going at it. But
I feel like I knew somebody that had a piece of the Berlin Wall, but I couldn't tell you who that was.
That sounds familiar.
Right, I feel like
I feel like we've talked about it before.
Yeah.
December 17th of 1989, the TV show The Simpsons airs for the first time.
So that's been on since '89,
and is still on TV.
It's still on TV today.
Is that the longest running TV show ever? Other than I don't know, some of the soaps have been running for like
ever
40 years too.
Right.
I think.
Well, and there's some of these, game shows. Like how long has Price is Right been on?
Very long time.
And Bart Simpson is still a kid.
Right. I was gonna say.
But
all those shows have changed host and characters.
Right.
The Simpsons is not.
Nope. It's still the same voiceover people.
I mean, that is pretty crazy though. I mean, for an animated show to last that long.
Right.
It also says
and
a
the
lot
fact,
about
there's all those, The Simpsons predicted the future.
Yeah.
Have you seen?
I've seen this.
That's a rabbit hole you could go down forever.
Have you ever been a Simpsons fan or watched it?
I watched a few, like when I valet parked for those few years over there for the airport. During our downtimes, we had downtimes that were pretty consistent. Like, on such and such a night at this time, it almost always slows down. What's on TV? Oh, The Simpsons. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Baywatch
was
on. I was just going to say, unfortunately for The Simpsons, Baywatch premiered in September, so I already had my show. I've never really been a fan. I've just never really watched it. I've probably watched maybe a handful of episodes my whole life.
We just watched it because it was on at one of the times, and it was back. We didn't have cable TV at the valet place, so it was the bunny ears. So we could get 4 or 5 channels.
Oh, well, that wraps up 1989. That wraps up the 80s.
That is wrapping up the 80s.
We are. That's a big milestone. I mean, that's
because the 80s were. I feel like that was my decade. That shaped me the most.
Absolutely.
The 80s.
I mean, I came into the 80s just but a lad.
Right.
And I left the 80s
pretty much a man.
As a man.
Especially after some videos. And Baywatch.
Oh, man. Yeah. No, that was cool. It is my turn to ask the question.
It is your turn to ask the question.
And we had said something earlier.
We had.
Oh, do you remember what it was?
I do.
How about, let's switch it up. You can ask the question since you remember it, and I'll look it up again. last episode we went.
Wait a
on
minute. Well, I
we went
thought I
down
thought
a-
I remembered that.
we went down a rabbit hole on these little nuggets. I'm fascinated by the fact that
Yeah.
there's some white coming back in here. Like totally the white went away for some time, and now it seems to be coming back. But if you haven't been keeping up,
I remember.
which
the
I know that
question.
you have, still looking pretty fantastic.
See, there's got to be something in there that's
Yeah,
keeping
it's
those looking like
full of
that.
science, dude. This is practically
Right.
this is
There's
astronaut food.
There are almost
That's-
no
that's what that
food
is.
products in that.
No, you're when they're talking about microplastics and all that stuff, I mean that's
There you go.
that's practically
That's
what
what's
that
keeping
is.
it white.
Yeah.
All right, you ready?
But,
I remember the question.
all right,
And as soon as I say it, you'll be like, "Oh yeah."
go for it.
Ready?
Yeah.
Is Die Hard?
Oh, that's right.
I knew it. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Here we go.
Right.
This is the
We're gonna
often debated-
Settle this once and for all.
Often debated.
More to the very, very back. Like,
The last page. What if the last page just says yes?
says acknowledgments. No, I went too far back. All right.
What can there be to acknowledge about a bunch of just random phrases?
Maybe that's a whole episode that I don't know. I didn't. But there's probably some thank yous or something in here. Anyway, do you want to know what the answer is to your
Let's
question?
have the answer.
All right. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Right.
Don't ignore the obvious. It was released in July. The obvious
It's about
is
Christmas.
It's not a Christmas
It's
movie.
about Christmas.
It is about Christmas.
I feel like this book was written by a politician.
Or a lawyer.
Or a,
Which, don't a lot of lawyers become politicians? Yeah. Okay. Same difference.
Because the answers in there are so like, well,
You should write a book of answers too. Because mine,
I had like four
Yeah.
pages.
'cause it's like, is it a Christmas movie? Answer is green. I mean,
Not even, it would be no help.
it's like, what questions are you answering? Are you asking to get these questions? We do. We need a Chris and Dave book of
Right.
answers.
My book of answers would be like, yes, no, maybe, not right now, later,
So you're basically a magic 8-ball.
shut up. Let's see what this says. I can't read it.
Oh, okay. I got you. It cannot predict now.
That's what it says?
That's what it says now.
Where did you get this 8-ball? It says that it's the real magic. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
it says it's the real deal.
this
It's not a
is
knockoff.
The real deal. I mean, it's got an 8 on it. I didn't realize that the
Stuff was blue.
yeah.
Yeah, it's always been blue.
Has it always been blue?
Yep.
They're very difficult. Does that make it mystical? We're supposed
I
to
don't-
feel like that it's
I think it keeps from whatever blue that is, keeps from doing something to the little
die.
pyramid in there.
Okay. The second answer is you may rely on it.
So that sounds like yes.
Well, I mean, I think we're both full of crap because we keep shaking this damn thing until it gives us what we need. Anyway, almost made it through.
Almost.
All right, what do you say we wrap this up?
Let's wrap it up.
Man, we're coming back
Last
to
2 years.
the last 2 years.
90
so
and
your
91.
senior year and my senior year
Yep.
coming up, man.
Yep.
I love it. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I hope
Yeah.
you've enjoyed it. Like, subscribe, share, comment.
And
ask
we
us
don't know what
questions
we're
for
going to
the
do
Magic
after the
8 Ball.
timeline episode
No,
is
I don't
over.
think- Well, we got to get to this donut story at some point.
Yeah, so we
But,
better start driving.
Well, that's coming up,
Yeah.
I think.
I don't know that there's
We can put a toe into it a little bit. We can.
Yeah. I don't know that there's much in the way of stories left of us not driving that are worth telling.
I concur. We can start driving. as soon as we
All right.
finish up the 90s.
So maybe we finish up our timeline and then we start driving, and that's when the stories get really
they
interesting.
take off. Might be a few more beeps in those. Just saying. Prepare yourself.
Might have to change the names to protect the innocent.
I agree with that.
Yes.
100%. All right.
All right.
We're good?
Yep.
See you guys.
All right. Appreciate y'all coming. Like, share, subscribe. Tell your friends. Tell your mom. Tell your brother, sister, somebody.
Them all.
Hey, just subscribe to these guys. Do it out of pity. Do it out of pity. We'll take it.
We will.
You don't have to. You don't even have to.
And you don't want to miss
the.
the Ice-T episode. Or
Yeah.
the Baby Jessica.
Yeah. Because I'm sure that Ice-T is going to get back to us. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, our people are standing by, Ice. Come on. I mean, it happens, right?
RatedGenX@outlook.com. That's how you get a hold of us.
See ya.
All right.